Welcome back. In this video, we'll talk about a tool named as tool container. As the name says, it's a container which can put all the tools into one place to make your work easier and to make your work faster. Let me try to explain you what is tool container. Now, very first thing, suppose if I have created a new workflow and I'll just input some data from one particular file. Give me a few seconds to pull the data and I will try to sort the data. Let me sort the data. I'll pick up the unique records and I will select some columns from here. So sorting the data, let's say I want to sort the data based on profit in the descending order. Then I'll select all the unique values. You see I've selected all the unique here and I'll just pick up some columns from here. Let's say only 5-7 columns. I'll pick up some of the columns and I'll click on run button over here. So you can see the output will be visible here. Now, when the data keeps on growing, when the tool keeps on growing, it becomes very difficult for a person to understand. Like for example, in the previous section, if you remember, this kind of clumsy workflow was created, which was very difficult for a new person to understand. How to make it easier? So with this workflow, all the tools can be brought into one place. How do we do that? In the documentation tab, if you observe here, tool container, I can drag and drop this tool container here into this canvas here. Let me show it again. I can delete this one. I went to the documentation tab, drag and drop this tool container into this canvas. Now you can pick up all the tools or some of the tools, whichever you want here. So select all the tools or some of the tools and put this tools into the container here. Now this becomes one box containing all the information regarding data cleaning. Let's assume data cleaning. So instead of giving the name as container 6, why not give the name of the container as data cleaning? And here I can properly write the names and arrange them and properly utilize it. Now this data has occupied a lot of space. I can click on this button to minimize that window and you see data cleaning workflow has been minimized to this part here. So like this we can use it. Now suppose while execution you don't want to execute this workflow, you can disable the container. So whenever you click on run button, the entire workflow will execute, but the tools inside the container which are right now disabled will not execute. That's the beauty of this container part here. Now what we can do is we can actually implement this learning on this complicated report which is given here. So number one, we can pick up this container. I can drag this container and drop it here. The first one is for the basic table. If you remember, this 4 tools I can pick up, drag and drop into this container part here. And I can just minimize this one. Let me rename this container as a basic table, creating basic table. Same way, I can again pick up this container, drag and drop it here. This one would be a pie chart, so I can drag and drop it here. Let me minimize this container and I can write here creating basic pie chart or creating pie chart. Same way, tool container, and I can pick up this one. This is for a bar chart. And if you notice, the size or the space of this workflow is saved now. So I can just minimize this one and I can write here as creating a bar chart. Similarly, pick up one more, drag and drop it here. I can rename this container as creating side by side bar chart. Right, minimize this container. And the last one, I can drag and drop. This one would be a donut chart. Right, minimize this one. And I can write here as creating a donut chart. Done. So now I can pick up all these 5 options and I can just arrange them properly. Right click and I can tell them align vertically this way. And you see they have come in a proper sequence here. So now you can change the position and you can keep it anywhere. So if you observe here, the amount of space occupied earlier was very much and now the space is occupied lesser. So I can select them, right click, and I can tell them after selecting all the containers, right click on any container, align vertically, and I can tell them to distribute vertically. So they'll have equal spacing in between. Now, this is one easy and super method and implementation of container. Similarly, what we can do is, let me move it down. Similarly, what we can do is the remaining options or the remaining tools which are kept over here, I can also put into a container. So I can go to this documentation tab, drag this container, drop it into the canvas here. So I can say alignment, or maybe I can write here some good name as header and footer. Header and footer of the data. Let me increase the size, and this render tool I can drag and drop it outside. So that is something important I can write here. So layout, header and footer. Perfect. Now this way, if you share this report with any person, this particular workflow, they will easily understand this entire workflow is divided into multiple parts. One for creating a column chart, one for pie chart, other for donut chart, and so on. So this container is very, very useful here. Now coming to the cosmetic part, if I select any one container here, there are some options related to cosmetic. You can change the text color, fill color, border color, transparency, and margin. Let me increase the size and explain you one of them. So here, if I select one container, I can pick up here in the reporting tool. So I can select the text color from here. I can change it to proper black color. Click on OK. And here it will be applied when I click on this button. So you see this one is having a black color. This one is having a gray color. Next one, you can also change the fill color to your required color like this. I can click on OK and click on this button here. So that's a green color here. The border color I can choose. I'll select black color obviously, and I can click on run button. The transparency you can change it as per your need, as per your wish, how transparent you want. The margins are right now small. You can just keep as medium or the large margin. So whenever there are some data sets, some tools, you see the margin is increased. I can minimize and I can change the margin to, let's say, as small. Now when I expand this one, you see there are small margins kept between the tools and the table here. So this way you can keep on customizing one by one all the tool containers over here. Now suppose if you do not want to activate or use this container, you can disable from here, or you can also disable from here, this checkbox. So this will enable or disable the container for you, right? So this way you can make your report, your workflow look much smarter here. Okay, that's a tool container inside documentation tab. I hope you have understood, and that's all for this video.